Good morning, children. Welcome to economics class. See, in the last chapter, we learnt about the different definitions given by different economists belonging to different ages. Adam Smith's definition, the classical era definition belonging to the classical era, Marshall's definition of economics, which belongs to the neoclassical era, and the scarcity definition given by Lionel Robbins, which belongs to the new age, and the growth definition given by Samuelson belongs to the modern age. And we also saw the criticism of the various definitions given by different economists. And finally, we came to a conclusion that the growth definition given by Samuelson was acceptable, and it was treated to have it is treated to have more satisfactory observations from many of the economists, and acceptability of the definition was more when compared to the other definitions given by the other economists. In today's class, we shall learn about the scope of economics. And the scope of the subject of economics, what does it refer to? It refers to the subject matter of the economics. What it actually deals with? The subject deals with these subject matters, and by learning that, what are we able to get the importance of? Okay, what is the importance of learning the subject, and what is the content of the subject? And the subject just throws light on whether economics is considered to be an art or whether it is considered to be a science. If it is art, how can you justify that? And whether economics is taken to be a positive science or a normative science. All this will be learning under the heading of scope of economics. Now let us understand the subject matter of economics. Just a small flow chart is there. Just look into the chart. The basic the origin of all the activities, economic activity. Before going to that, what is economic activity? Any activity which is done with the intention of earning money, you call it as economic activity. When you look deep into the reason for all the economic activities, the underlying reason of all the activities is the arising of wants or desires. That is தேவைகள். In Tamil you say தேவைகள். Just because man wants certain things, okay, what is he doing? He takes efforts to satisfy the want. In the process of taking effort to satisfy the want, what is he doing? He is doing the production activity. Okay, and the production activity, does he produce the goods and keep it with himself? No, he distributes the goods that are being produced, and he exchanges the goods that are being produced for money. And this distributed goods reaches the hands of the consumer. That is the process of consumption. And once a consumer consumes a commodity, does it want satisfy altogether? No. The want satisfies on a temporary basis, and immediately another want crops in, or the same want can crop after some time. So these wants are unlimited. We saw in the definition given by Lionel Robbins that wants are unlimited. So to satisfy this unlimited wants, what does man do? He takes efforts to satisfy the wants. In the process of taking efforts, he produces the goods and services. The produced goods and services are distributed, and it is exchanged between the different middlemen. And after the process of distribution and after the process of exchange of the goods for money, it reaches the hands of the consumers. The consumer consumes the commodity, and his want is satisfied. Again, the want is another want arises. So this is a cyclical process. You cannot visually see that, but this is a vicious circle, okay, which cannot be seen, but we are witnessing in reality. So economics, basically it focuses on what? The behavior and the interactions that happens among the different economic agents in the society. It can be individuals or it can be groups belonging to the economic system. And it deals with activities. What are the activities it deals with? It deals with the primary activities like consumption and production of what? Production of goods and services. Not only production, the produced goods are distributed. The distribution of income is also there among the factors of production. All these topics will be learning in depth in one chapter. So the produced goods are distributed, and in the process of distribution, money is exchanged, which serves as an income for the different factors of production. And normally these activities, it relates only to the ordinary business of life. Okay, it exists under a social condition, under a legal condition, or a management institution arrangement, and all these are included in the science of economics. Anything which is abnormal or something which is socially unacceptable or unethical activities are not included in the subject of economics. So what is included in the science of economics? Something which is socially acceptable, legally acceptable, and there is an institutional arrangement of goods, arrangement of the activities, and something which is ethical. All such things are only acceptable. Anything, a study about an abnormal person or an irrational person is not considered in economics. A study about a lunatic man or a madman, okay, is not taken into consideration in economics, because who studies that? A psychologist studies that. Okay, it comes under the medical sciences. So we deal only with individual behavior concerning an ordinary man, not an abnormal person. And socially unacceptable and unethical activities are totally excluded in economics. Next is, economics is a way in which how people use their available resources in satisfying their different wants. See, our wants are unlimited, but the means to satisfy these wants are very, very limited. Means here, I mean the resources to satisfy our wants are very limited. So do we have enough amount of money to satisfy all our wants? Definitely no. See, if I ask you what is your desire, what all do you want in this world? Can you tell me what all do you want in this world? Definitely, our wants are unlimited. As of now, you might want something to eat. After some time, again, you might want something else to eat, and you might want a different dress to wear. You might want to go to a cinema. You might want to go to a big restaurant. You might want to visit a theater. You might want to go to a temple. You might want to have a relaxation. You might want to play cricket. So when you might want a very big job, a car, a scooter. So when you look into our wants are limitless. Okay, till we are existing in this world, we might be requiring something or the other. So to satisfy this multiplicity of wants, do we have enough money with us? Definitely no. Do we have enough money? No. Our money is very, very limited only. We have only this much is the amount of salary that I get month after month. Within this salary, I need to plan my expenditure. So scarcity is one of the biggest gap between what people want and what they are able to get. So what is scarcity? In Tamil you call it as patrakurai. So scarcity means I don't have enough money. The gap which is arising between the money that I have and the desire for my goods, or my want that what I really wanted to enjoy, the gap between that, you call it as scarcity. So the scarcity, how can we eliminate the scarcity? There are two methods. One thing is, by limiting my wants, I can just throw away the scarcity. See, I have money only to buy a two-wheeler, but my desire is to buy a car. Okay, what can I do in this case? Either I have to increase my income. If I increase my income, this is one possibility of satisfying my want. On the other hand, I cannot increase my income. So what I should do now? I have to limit my want. So I have to limit my want not by buying a four-wheeler but by buying a two-wheeler. So scarcity can be eliminated by limiting the wants or by increasing the supply of goods that satisfy the human wants. Next is the method of getting more. Is normally what do? Will we just always be happy with whatever we want? No. We will just try to earn more money, okay, and try to see that we enjoy our wants, or we enjoy the multiplicity of our wants. Okay. Next is, economics is concerned with human beings only. Here it is not related to sorry ma, it is related to only the activities done by human beings, not done by animals or any other non-living things. Okay, how the action of one member in the society is going to affect the other member of the society. See, for example, if you are a textile mill owner, you are producing garments. In the process of production of garments, what are you doing is, you are just throwing out all the effluents into the society. Now your activity of polluting the society, who is getting affected here? the society is getting affected. The people nearby are getting affected because of the effluents which are discharged by the garment factory. So, the activity of one person is related or it affects the other members in the society. So when you talk of economics, deals only with human science, or it is a social science. So economics can be called as what? Human science or social science. Underline this. The next is, in economics we deal with activities which are related only to a normal human being, a rational human being. Who is called a rational human being? A person who thinks in the normal sense. See, if you I can call you as rational because you are going to a shop. Okay, you wanted to buy a mobile. You just go to the shop, immediately you see a mobile and immediately you will not buy a mobile. What will you do? You will take into you know what is the amount of money that you have with you. Okay, because the money that we have is very very limited. You will look into a minimum of 10 mobiles, 10 brands of mobiles, and out of the 10 brands you will look into the features which are available in different mobiles, and after that you will decide for the amount of money that you are paying, is it really worth buying that particular mobile? Will you think in this manner or not? Definitely we will think. Such a person only we call as rational person. That is, for the amount of money that we spend, are we getting the best satisfaction? Only a rational man will think in this aspect. So economics studies about the activities which are done by a normal human being or a rational human being. Next is, economics is related to the activities which are related to wealth accumulation. More so, we learn in economics, we learn only about money and money related aspects. Anything which is measured in monetary terms are only learnt in economics. The non-economic activity. What do I call as non-economic activity? The love and care that my mother shows is a non-economic activity. Your mother prepares a very good dinner for you, which you wanted to have for a long time. That does not have any money where you cannot measure that activity in terms of money. Such activities you call it as non-economic activity. You go out and play for some time. Okay, you get so much relaxation after coming from from your play. This again gives you pleasure. Here it is not an economic activity. On the other hand, if Dhoni is playing for Indian team, is he getting money? It is an economic activity. Okay, and you're going and buying a pen or pencil. It is an economic activity. Your dad is working. Okay, your dad is working in an organization. For what is he working? For to get a salary. It is again an economic activity. So anything which is related to wealth constitutions, okay, which is related to the creation of wealth or accumulation of wealth or anything which is related to monetary terms, all those are only covered in economics. Now, after learning about what is the subject matter of economics, we need to understand whether economics is a science or an art. When I say art is something where you practically apply your knowledge, okay, for doing a particular task or for achieving a particular goal. You apply in you practically you apply whatever you have learned, okay, or whatever you have understood, okay, and then you bring out a solution or you reach towards your goal. Okay, that you call it as an art. So art, see for example, I am taking this class. The way I take the class is same for everyone. All of you get the communication from me in the same manner, but the assimilation of this communication from me or the class from me will be different for different students. And if I ask you to write an answer of your own, okay, you will give me an answer which is a practical application of the knowledge that you have gained out of my lecture. Okay, or on the other hand, if I am giving you a notes and I am asking you to learn and write that, that is not an art. Might be you'll be learning it and you'll be seeing it and writing it. That is not an art. It is just a replicating of whatever is there. Now, if I say art, if I ask you to give the gist of the class, whatever I've taken, you write in your own way, that is a form of art, which varies from the next person. Okay, so the way or the approach towards a problem using the practical application of your knowledge is art. Many of the economists like Pugo, Alfred Marshall considered economics as an art. But there are many people, economists, who say that economics is a science. How can we understand how can I say that economics is a science? See, basically, science is about facts only. Okay, science, it is a systematic study of knowledge. Okay, whatever is a fact and the relevant facts, it is collected, it is analyzed, and then there is a measurement of scale in size. Using the facts, science develops what? A relationship between cause and effect. Okay, this is a cause, okay, for this to happen. Okay, what is the cause for this to happen, for anything for that matter? Okay, science deals with only facts. Science, there are various laws which are derived in science and that are tested through various experiments. After various experiments only a prediction is made. A very clear example, present example, what I could give you now is the research and development with respect to the COVID-19. Okay, for the corona virus, just like that they cannot give a solution. Okay, see, in Ayurveda they say that taking this Kabasur Kudini, okay, gives a temporary relief. Okay, it is again an way of art only. There is no proper evidence that it will cure corona. Likewise, various researchers, they do so much of experimentation and finally they make prediction and come out with a vaccine. That you call it as science, because it is based on facts, it is based on experimentations. Based on experimentations they arrive at a solution. So science, like physics or chemistry, it deals with so much of laws. Okay, and there are several similar characteristics in economics which makes us feel that economics is a science. Many a times we examine problems, like for example, constant increase in price. We analyze what is the reason for price to increase. This is a cause for the price. This has happened because of this only the price has increased. There is a cause and there is an effect. So in such a situation we can also say that economics is a science. Okay, so rightly, hence it is rightly said that both economics can be considered as what? As a science as well as an art. In fact, art and science are what? Complementary to each other. Next is whether economics is a positive science or a normative science. Positive science means it deals with answering the questions like how and why. Okay, the questions like how did this happen, the question like why did this happen, are answered under positive science. Okay, it deals with what it is and it analyzes the problem on the basis of fact and it examines the causes. At the same time, here for example, at the time of a price increase, its cost is analyzed. Okay, the cost of that is analyzed. Now when you look into economics as a positive science, the questions like is, was, or this will be are the possibilities. Now when you take economics as a normative science, this ought to have done, this should be done. Okay, in a positive science we look into in an objective manner, whereas in normative science we look the concept into a subjective aspect. Normative science responds to the questions like what ought to be done, this should have been done. Okay, and the conclusions are here are based on facts and the considerations take into account the social considerations, political considerations, cultural considerations when we take economics as a normative science. When we look economics as a normative science, solution is based on the facts, taking into consideration the society, the culture, the political situations as well as religious realms which are concerned at that particular situation of problem solving. So to sum up, we can say that positive science is concerned with answering questions like what, how and why. Whereas normative science is considered with answering the questions like what ought to be done. Okay. Now three statements are given for each type of examples, whether economics is a positive science. If we take economics as a positive science, whenever there is an increase in money supply, it will lead to rise in price. It is positive signs because it is true. As when irrigation facilities and when we use chemical fertilizers, what will happen? It will lead to increase in production of food grains. This is also correct, is it? We are using this and because of this only this has happened. The third thing is when there is an increase in birth rate, when there is a decrease in death rate, what will happen? Population will increase. So there is a cause and there is an effect also. So questions like the cause and effect is analyzed means it comes under positive economics. Now let us go to normative economics. When we talk of normative economics, it is based on the society or the social setup or culture or political situation. Inflation is better than deflation. See, we'll be learning in future topics about inflation and deflation. When we analyze both inflation and deflation, we will accept inflation is better than deflation. Okay, whether we need to produce more of luxury goods, whether the production of luxury goods, more luxury goods is not good for less developed countries. Where it is a less developed countries, okay, it is not good to produce luxury goods more. Rather, it is good to produce what is it? Necessary goods. It is better to produce more of necessary goods than luxury goods in a less developed country. Next is an increase in birth rate. Sorry, ma. Inequalities in the distribution of wealth and income should be reduced. This is again true when we talk under normative economics. Now, let us go to the basic concepts which are involved in economics. Very, very simple to understand. When we look into the basic concepts which we use in economics are, first we'll be learning about goods and services. It is a very, very common word that we have been using in our day-to-day vocabulary. In economics, both goods and services, it satisfies wants. Okay, it satisfies our wants. What are considered as goods in many a times, goods implies services also. Unless otherwise I specify this as service. Now, what is good according to in economics? Goods are nothing but products or commodities or things. Okay, the products, commodities or things which we utilize in or which satisfies our wants are called as goods. What are the features of goods? Goods are material things. Anything you could see in this picture, anything that I am able to see which has got a shape, form, you call it as material thing. It is tangible. I can feel it. I can see it. That is, those are called as goods. Goods have physical dimensions. It has got a shape. It can be lengthy, it can be short, it can be tall, it can be big, it can be small, it can be it can be round in shape or it can be cylindrical in shape. So it has got some physical attributes. Next is it exists independently of their owner. Say for example, if I own a house, it exists independently of me. I own the house. So and it is owned by some person. As I told you, the goods, if I have this good, it is possessed by me. Okay, it is independent of this owner. Next, can I sell this house to some other person? That is also possible. So transfer of goods is also possible. Does the good have value in exchange? That is also there. Okay, if I sell the good, I am getting something in exchange. Okay, I am able to get a value for the exchange of the goods and services. So these are the features of what we call as good. In economics, goods are called as products or commodities or things. Okay, they are material things, they are tangible, they have physical dimensions, they exist independently of their owner. They are owned by some persons, they are transferable, they have value in exchange. Next is, what are the kinds of goods? When we look into the kinds of goods, goods can be classified into free goods and economic goods. What are free goods? The goods which are available in nature and are abundant in supply are called as free goods. We don't pay any money to buy such goods. What are such goods? Where we enjoy that good, but we don't pay anything for that. Without that, we cannot survive. What are such goods? Air and sunshine are such goods. Okay, for air, can we live without air? It is not possible to live without air. Are we paying money and then breathing? That is also not possible. Sunshine, okay, which is very, very inevitable for living, not only for human beings but also for plants. So sunlight is also essential for living. So are we paying any money for sunlight? That is also, we are not paying anything, but can we live without this? That is also not possible. Can we, does it have an exchange value? Can I buy air and sell it to someone? That is also not possible. So goods which are available abundantly in nature, okay, which are available in nature, which are the free gift of nature, are called as free goods. It doesn't have any value in exchange. Previously, water was also considered as a free good, but nowadays it is not taken as an example of free good because we are paying money and buying water. So now in recent days we don't consider water as a free good. And one more thing is Milton Friedman and Nobel laureate, they have popularized a saying that there is no such thing as free lunch. Okay, here they say that if anyone is going to give you free lunch, okay, can you say that it is free lunch? In reality, we cannot say that it is free lunch, because to get that lunch, he has to have, he would have paid money to get that. For you, might be you are getting it free of cost, but to procure that good or to prepare that good, the person who has given to you free of cost might have spent some amount of cost on producing that good. So the persons in the society as a whole have spent money to produce something. Here the example is free lunch. Have spent money to produce such goods, okay, for the benefit of the society. So as such, if anything is given free of cost to you, you cannot call it as free good, because some person in the society has spent money to produce that good. So someone can benefit from this externality of free goods. So in economics we call this as what? Opportunity cost, which we shall learn in that particular topic when it comes. Okay, I think with this we shall wind up this class. Okay, let me just finish what is economic goods. Okay, sorry children. So free goods we saw. The other thing is economic goods. Anything for which we pay money and then enjoy, such good is called economic goods. And not only that, that which is not available in plenty. Okay, just because it is not available in plenty, we are paying money and getting that, is it? Imagine air is available in plenty. Am I paying money to anyone to get air? No. Like that, goods which are not available in plenty. If it is not available in plenty, what does it mean then? It is scarce in supply. Scarce means it is not in, there is not enough supply in relation to demand. So what man has to do? Man has to spend money to buy it, use it and own it. Such goods are called as what? Economic goods. So with this, I shall stop today's class. Tomorrow we shall see the remaining types of goods and services. Okay children, and for the homework, okay, what shall I give? You did the different definitions of economics, you did. I want you to write uh, the questions, question number 26, question number 23, question number 26 and question number 24. Okay, fine. I want you to write the questions 21, 22, 23 and 26. Okay, just make a note. Your homework will be part B, question number 21, 22, 23, 26, because only these topics I have taken. Okay, the remaining I'll be taking in the next class. Okay, that is all for today's class. Okay, I'll just wind up this class now. Okay, have a good day. Bye bye.